Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, and welcome to Fanalysis Lite. I am Reti 4, this is Greyjedi 1.
Hello.
This is Turk McGurk.
Greetings, my good Hotman.
And this is Antoine Bandale.
Be water, my friend.
Today we're going to be covering a brief announcement that has been released yesterday. But before we do, I just want to say apologies for the hiatus, guys. It's something on my end, unfortunately. I've got two family members that are very ill and require my attention, so I haven't been able to do the usual upload schedule. But rest assured, we'll be getting back into the swing of things as soon as possible. And yeah, with that said, Antoine, take us away with the
yes. So this morning it was announced, not as an April Fool's joke, but as a legit thing, that Netflix is picking up Avatar The Last Airbender. No, that doesn't mean they're going to get the animated series back, as far as I can tell. But they're actually going to be creating a new, I guess, essentially remaster of the original animated series as a live action series. Not a movie. They're not doing like a straight to Netflix movie. It's going to be a series, as far as we know. We don't know exactly, how many seasons or how it's going to be structured or anything like that, but we do know that it's a live action series that's coming to Netflix. Probably in 2020. They didn't announce this, but this is my assumption because they're starting to film in 2019. So I'm assuming that it won't actually be done until 2020. So when I'm like 30 years old is when this thing's probably going to come out. Which is kind of crazy. But yeah, I wanted to do this to hear you guys' thoughts, get it while they're fresh. Each of our individual thoughts, and a very short video today for you guys.
Who wants to go first? I guess I'll go first. All right. Yeah. My first reaction was like, wait, what? Why? That sounds terrible. Don't do that. There's no need. Because so much of what I like about the show is like the visual aesthetic. I love the animation quality, and just I think that that's part of the charm and magic of the show, is just it as an animated thing. I don't really have a particular desire to see it, brought to live action. But then when I read that original showrunners are there, I thought, okay, there's hope for this. That's good. So that's
I have
instantly
a question
already
for you,
like,
actually.
yeah.
When the original teaser for the film came out, was that your feelings for that as well, or were you like, oh, it's kind of cool seeing Aang in live action?
It was sort of neutral. Like, oh, this looks pretty cool, but I don't need it. Like, I don't need it in my life. But
Right.
If they're gonna do it, I hope it's good. And we all know what happened there. But yeah. Also,
That's
that
kind of my
teaser
current
is like
reaction.
nowhere in the movie, right? It's like completely
Yes,
removed
yeah.
from what actually happens in the movie. So
it
there's
was
that.
the- it was
That
the
was all
only-
false advertising.
Pretty much the only good
Right.
thing about that set of the film as well, aside from the music. But no,
Very sad.
to me, I had much the same reaction to this one. Kind of neutral. It's I'm not. It's not something I was looking for, like you say. It wasn't something I needed in my life, a live action Avatar. But if it's coming, and by the original showrunners, I hope it's good. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it, and like I say, I hope it gets some quality. That's all about I'm concerned about. I don't need it to be an exact replica as well. It has to be an adaptation if they want it to work.
Right, I agree with
happy
that
with some
too.
changes, but it needs to be good adaptation. You can't be cutting out
Right.
like important sections. A la
I
the
don't-
film.
I don't think that like the tone will translate exactly. Like it
Right,
needs
it
to be
can't.
like a different feeling.
Yeah, it needs to be not gritty, but a more kind of grounded realism if they want it to sell in live action. For me, they can't do like the cartoonish expressions, for example, or that kind
Unless
of
they stop Pilgrim
quirkiness
It. They
can't
could
be
stop-
present in
they
a
could-
live action
Get it
version.
off.
Stop Pilgrim It. So.
Please don't.
Oh wait, did you look up Scott Pilgrim? Do you remember who you're talking to here?
Yeah,
Is
I
that
know
why-
he doesn't appreciate
why you
Stop Pilgrim,
brought
but
this up?
for
I
the rest of
appreciate
you,
the stylistic quality.
Provocateur.
Just the overall package that I had no interest in. But yeah, what are your opinions, Turk? I imagine they're much the same, right?
My first question, why? My second question is why. So what do we know so far about it? I didn't actually read anything about it. I was waiting to talk about it here and now. But is it going to be an adaptation of the show that we know, or is it going to be a continuation of it, or we don't know yet?
No.
Okay.
I would have liked it if it would have been like a continuation. Like one of the things I was talking about earlier before we started doing this is it would have been cool if this would have been maybe a teen Aang growing into adult Aang, maybe doing Republic City, building that up, and then seeing Toph and her prime and stuff like that. But no, it is a complete retelling of the original series.
If they were going to do that, though, I would have wanted it to be animated because there's
Right,
I
and
don't.
that's the thing too.
yeah,
I would
yeah,
prefer
exactly.
animated as well.
Okay,
Which
so
I'll
it
get into
is.
later.
So it is going to be a retelling of the original show. I don't want it. Just get
It's
it
like
away
a
from
Final
me.
Fantasy VII remake. but
just get it
with the
away
show.
from me. I don't want it.
Yeah, I don't have any particular interest in the fact that it's live action.
Yeah.
But I don't need this to happen. But I'm just saying, if it has to happen, make it good. That's my opinion on it.
Well, I mean, that's like the hope for anything because we don't have any control whether it happens or not. But the thing, I mean, obviously with the whole that movie that exists that we don't talk about it existing, it's really complicated. That, I mean, scares the crap out of everyone because that movie is terrible. And when I was younger, I was always super excited when I hear like my favorite video games or anime or whatever it was. It's like they're gonna make a live action version of it. Oh my gosh! But as I grew older, I realized how I really don't need those things. I really come to they're undesirable to me because it's going to change so much of the original with the retelling, you know. So it's like, well, why tell this story again if we already have like this masterful thing? Like, just go watch Airbender. You know what I mean? So it's like, what's the purpose of it, other than to maybe just capitalize on the success of its predecessor? You know what I mean?
I actually think it's a little bit different. Than I think that, and this is something I wasn't aware of until we did our Last Airbender commentary, and I started like researching what they actually thought about that movie, and I didn't realize. I thought for some reason they were like, oh yeah, they did a movie, and we just kind of just sent it away. I know they were actively
they hated
against it and hating it.
Yeah, they hated it.
Yeah.
And with that mentality, right, exactly. And with that mentality, I was thinking, oh, maybe it's more of them having a chip on their shoulder and kind of being like, no, we can't have that be out there as a thing. We need to make our own like live action and show how it's properly being done. And I'm going to get into one of the quotes that come from the article, which is a statement from both of them, which is, we can't wait to realize Aang's world as cinematically as we always imagined it to be, and with a culturally appropriate, non-whitewashed cast, which is like super, like that shot's fired. Like you can't, there's no mincing words there at all. So I wonder if that is one of their motivating factors, because I do, as you guys were saying before, I would have hoped they did something else, like whether it was a new series, maybe instead of the novel for Kyoshi, it's just
a continuation, or like
something else.
On it. Just don't touch the originals, leave them alone.
Because they're talented people, and I don't want to see them just retreading, And I know that's one of the things that they wanted, even from going from Airbender to Korra. They had Descent with Nickelodeon, that they wanted to tell new stories, and then Nickelodeon was like, no, give us that same stuff. So it's interesting that they have decided to do this, and obviously this is not me knowing them or at all, but the only thing I can think of is perhaps they want to override what has already been done with previous live action material. And also I think there's a fascination, just with seeing something in live action done well. I do think that it's unnecessary, and I think it's a bad place to put their energy. But I do understand how seeing a real life person, playing Aang, or seeing a real life, in particular, with that, what they just said, I would love to see a Katara, you know what I mean? Like actually done properly, and seeing that as a live action person. And I think it also helps for someone who might want that representation, because it's not just seeing a cartoon character, because people can like spin that however they want to. If they actually see a brown girl on screen, I think that is much more significant. But I'm sorry, I'm like talking too much. If you guys had, I know you guys were trying to come in a second. Sorry about that.
I yearn for the day when that won't be newsworthy. I really do.
Yeah, I know, and I hope that. I hope
be
that
waiting
too.
for a while. That is, me.
It's
But,
be a good while.
but I think unfortunately the battle has to be done this way before it can become like it's just everybody is just everybody. Everyone's just people, but you can't really do that in this climate currently. But again, sorry, I'm talking too much. Go.
Yeah, I do wonder like what the motive is. Like if it's just as simple as they don't want that to be like their legacy, then whatever. But the thing is, it's already not. Like how many people actually talk about the movie more than the show?
Yeah,
like,
nobody.
And even
I mean,
those
like
that
I said,
they don't blame the showrunners for it.
we mostly deny its existence for the most part.
Yeah,
like
but
most people I talk to were like, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, so it's like if the idea is, because in animation is like an exhausting process, of course. I don't even know like anything about it aside from like layman knowledge. But I do remember Brian Konietzko once said in some sort of commentary or interview, he goes, at one point there were like, because they ordered like all the Korra seasons after season 1, like all at once, right?
Yeah.
He goes at one point there were like 33 episodes in production at the same time, That's a ridiculous amount like of work like to be doing, especially when like a creator is like boarding some of the stuff himself, you know, and it's a relatively small team boarding all that, and it's some of the best, you know, choreography and stuff that we've ever seen in animation. So it's very labor intensive. It might be easier to to tell new stories using live action models, but you might not sell a live action series with the movie lingering over it. So this might be cleanup crew coming in to get rid of that so that we can make this more fiscally sensible for, you know, backers to go, yeah, we'll back that project. And yeah, now you can go tell your Kyoshi live action or your brand new character live action or whatever, because animation is just something they don't want to do as much anymore because it's costly in terms of dollars and time, you know.
Or they just want to move over. I know Brad Bird, after doing The Incredibles, went over to do Mission Impossible Ghost Recon, I believe. And that seemed like something he wanted to do was go to live action. Was it Ghost Recon? Or am I crazy?
Ghost Protocol?
Ghost Protocol. Sorry, you're right. It's Ghost Protocol. But similar to that, like, you know, I think he just wanted to shift to live action, you know.
Recon is Clancy, not Cruise.
Sorry,
Yeah,
that's my fault. My fault.
Yeah, it sounded like a real title. It just wasn't for a movie.
Yeah, no, I was confident when I said it.
Yeah.
Some people are having hesitation on the fact that the head writers aren't, or the head writer isn't coming back for this. It's just going to be
Dragon
Mike and
Prince,
Ryan.
right?
Exactly. So I wonder if you guys had any thoughts about that, or also have any grievances or hesitations about that happening.
I mean, I'm fine with that myself because, number one, like while we've just said that they should do certain liberties and like divorce themselves somewhat from the actual story, the tone, which if he's responsible for that, like it shouldn't be exactly the same. You do need like new blood, but like the blueprint is there. Just tell that, like,
Right.
you know, that main story there, like the important stuff. That's all done for you. That's the hard part. The nuance is all you need new stuff in there for. So I'm fine with it. Especially
Right,
because
and
he's got his own thing going.
Yeah, he has his own thing going. And also, well, I guess spoiler alert for when we do eventually do. I guess we
needs
can
to
announce it
focus on
now.
it.
Yeah, it's
But
coming out
we are
soon.
gonna.
He needs to focus on that.
Some people kind of hold him up on a pedestal right now
Yeah.
and say like, oh, if he doesn't come back to the Avatar, then it's just not going to be great. And it's like, oh, well, his prince. I mean, while you know it's got some cool foundation to it, like he's not the golden ticket to like a very, you know, a stellar story every time. But again, we'll get into that later when we do our Dragon Prince review. So I just wanted to cover that because I know that's like some people have been like saying like, oh, if he's not there, then like everybody wants to complain about something. It seems like
Yeah.
with
Especially
that kind of
like
thing.
when it's like relevant so that you can get, you know, views or whatever. Like I know nothing, but I've got complaints and concerns.
Well,
You
also
know,
even the earnest people, they have their issues because, you know, it's such a beloved franchise. They don't want anything to tarnish it, so they are passionate about these things and they react as such. But yeah, I agree.
already
It's not. Oh yeah, sure.
you know.
But
Yeah.
I
They
know
cannot-
it's,
that's the one thing they
yeah,
have
that's
going for them.
yeah, that they can't get
cannot
any
be
worse.
than that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought when it came out. Well, it can't be worse than that. So, you know, that gave me a little bit more
Right,
optimism than I would
exactly.
otherwise have, because usually I'm quite cynical about these things. Well, mostly as a result of you know, the anime live action stuff, because that's always abysmal.
Right,
Or at
and that's
least
what people have been
barely
bringing up
tolerable.
too, is that like Death Note and what was the other one that Full Metal? I think they did a live
I've
action
just done a
for on
Bleach
Netflix.
one that I
right?
saw, which I had no
Death
Bleach,
idea of.
yeah.
Bleach just came out.
And those have not been, and those look cheap though. But I wonder if this one is gonna get more of the Stranger Things. I mean, but then again, I don't know because I don't know if it's a big enough franchise to come in that they'll throw the appropriate money to it, because it's already an established thing and only a partial
I think
part of the
it
audience
should
will
be
follow.
like it should be considered like a strong enough franchise for that, because
Right.
it is like for our generation, it is like the, you know, animated work that like is hailed, you know, at least in the Western world, right? And there's so many strong streaming sites that have all this programming. So streaming sites do have to compete with one another, you know, for like viewership now. It's not just like Netflix is the only game in town. So yeah, they should be, you know, trying to back it as hard as they can.
Because I
My
think they
advice
need to
is
do like the
keep
Game
Appa
of
to a minimum, though.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Don't show a lot of
Yeah.
Appa.
Which
Don't
is
spend a lot of money.
difficult
Which is
considering
like,
they are
how
going to
the-
be
how they
journeying
even-
on him the entire
Yeah,
time.
I know,
Appa's
that's
like in every fucking episode.
Just
Because I would
show
say
his
treat him like the
saddle
dragons in
and
Game of
get a
Thrones, but you
win
can't.
from like
I'm
the
already mad
fan.
about
Just
this.
have that wind blowing
Yeah,
guitar
now I think
there
about
and
that.
see his saddle. Yeah.
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be like
It's
it's a big budget project.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
a lot of the
understand that-
world can be done. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
It's just, I mean, like when you look at things like Game of Thrones or whatever, and like map paintings, like they've gotten so advanced these days that like the world can look beautiful for not all the money in the world, but it is like, spirit world stuff. Yeah, I mean, and the creatures, but that's not going to be. It has the potential to not be good, obviously.
Yeah, I really do think because Game of. Go ahead, because you were going next.
I mean, well, that's the worry. Is like, obviously, we can't do anything about it being done. It's not our decision for it to be made. But that's the worry. Is like, I'd rather to I guess to lower the risk of being terrible. I'd rather it not be done because the risk of it being high, with all the track records of everything that we know and love, that's been converted to live action, it's not good. It's not usually something that translates well.
Right.
Is there like a
terrifying?
Is there like a communal like voice for this show demanding more stuff constantly through some kind of platform? Because like
the only voice I would think are the graphic novel people, but
I'm like never aware of anything until it's like announced.
And
people definitely want another series, that's for sure, but they want another animated series, not a live action. The thing about the live action one though is that to me the risk is much higher than the reward, because even if they do this perfectly, even if we have no issue with this show, all we're going to have is a not as good
just
version.
Another version. Right, exactly.
Because it can't be better.
Like,
I'm sorry, that's not like a criticism of live action versus animation, but with this specific universe, it cannot be better given the heritage of the show and also
that's what I mean is
the quality of the animation and choreography. So they can't do that live action.
Only purpose I can see is it gets them the green light to do other stuff in this medium later on, which isn't necessarily something I need, but like that's the only thing I can think of as a reason for why they want to do it. You know what I mean?
It changes your perception of what you already know, which is my big problem, not to stray off on a ridiculous tangent here, but my problem with like Solo, or what eventually became my problem with a lot of the Star Wars comic books. Even though they're canon, it's like it changes your perception of those characters in that world and everything you know and love about what already is. And it's like he said, like Callan said, it's like the risk is, it's not worth it. You see, because you usually don't get, good shit out of it. It's very sad.
And even if you do something that is like really good, it's still like, okay, but you spent 3-4 years on that when you could have been having your energy. I think that's the main thing, is that they're wasting their energy on this project when they could be doing it to something new.
Well, I thought that Breck was like, because he put it together. That they were sort of done, like exhausted, like, okay guys, we're done with Avatar.
Yeah, that's the way they talked. Yeah.
Can we do something else now? It was like Daniel Radcliffe in Harry Potter. It's like, look, could you stop fucking writing books, because I want to do something else with my life. But yeah, that's what I legitimately thought. So hearing this, I'm like, and they're cool with it. They're trying to make this. I feel like
not showrunners. That means you're in it.
Yeah, I'm like, this is like, who's blackmailing y'all? What aren't they letting you do? Is this like Christopher Nolan, The Dark Knight Rises? What's going on? Like, are they saying you can't?
I don't think so. I think that everyone likes a paycheck. Okay, like,
that's true.
And
Netflix is like, hey,
want to buy?
Yeah. But that's like,
we got $9 billion over here that we spent on our shows last year.
Did they not watch their own TV shows? Fucking sellouts. I'm just kidding. But I sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, you carry on.
Oh, I thought that they were done with Avatar and they wanted to make other things because they have other stories, to tell.
For me, I think they don't even have to be done with Avatar. I mean, I get the impression that the reason they were so irritated, or at least burnt out from the previous project with Korra, was because of the nature of the development schedule. It wasn't anything to do with the quality, the actual universe. They're not tired of their own franchise. It's just how they were forced to deliver it at the time. I think that kind of
was a big
them.
Issue. Yeah.
But so take out that issue and give them time, and precisely. The entire kind of tapestry of Korra suffered as a result of that, to various degrees. But with that issue removed, I would have thought they want to carry on and kind of dive back into their beloved franchise, because they do seem to have great passion for it outside of those specific burnout, interviews.
I mean, maybe they don't have a good story in mind.
But there are so many options. They have so many options for extending that universe.
Okay, but
it would have been.
Let's be real. Like, you have all these like laundry list of complaints about Korra, right? And like, what if they have an even worse base, like, to jump? Like, can they really build like your masterful series like off that? You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe they don't have a good enough idea.
Maybe they're worried about that too, because Korra, all that ever happened with Korra was it got compared to Airbender, so much so that they put that fucking like super I don't know, like meta reflection where Tenzin's like talking about being his father and he would never be his father and all that crazy stuff. But yeah, it was always like, oh, it's not as good as Airbender, it's not as good as Airbender. I mean, if that's the whole thing, then why are they making this? It's not going to be as good as Airbender, so.
Because everyone likes that paycheck. I'm just saying. I just feel like that's the root of this, but because they really have no need to do this, as far as I can see.
They really don't.
You know?
Right.
With that said, though, I guess that's the summed up opinion of that one.
Yeah, that is it.
We hope it's good. We don't think it will necessarily be, but at least it can be worse in the film.
Just as a point of like just of note, I don't mean to like shit on every announcement. I feel like I do that all the time. Like I'm never looking forward to anything, but I'm sorry guys, I'm just not. It's not calculated that way. I hate to rain on people's parade, and I'm not even like not looking forward to this. I'm just not looking forward to it.
Right, because I'll enjoy it like when it comes out, but it's just like thinking of it in its totality, it's like, oh, but did you really need to
it's always like
shift your attention here?
That's my big response to a lot of these things that are announced often is like, but why though? Like that's like your initial response is like, why? Wait, that was okay. Going back to Solo, that was my response with Solo. I was like, but why? We don't need it. Do something else.
It still amuses me that that's the film you take issue with the new Star Wars films.
Oh God. We'll open that can of worms later. Yeah. But yeah, I did not care about that movie.
But yeah, it's just a case of like I said, why are they doing this? And if they are going to do it, what's the best they can achieve? At least it'll be better than the original film. That's basically all we can say on this. It's such an unknown quantity at the moment. Until we get some actual footage or details or trailer or whatever, we can't really talk about the quality as it comes. But I have more hope for this than I did for the previous, obviously. So that's that.
Right, of course.
Yeah. I mean, everyone does, I think. How could it sink that low? Yeah, precisely. That's the good news. The good news.
Whatever we get, it'll be better than that, and we can only hope for the best at this point, I think is some opinion. But with that said, everyone
could be some cool fights. I mean, there might be some good action in it. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's the other thing. Even if it's Raid Redemption quality, the best ever, it's still not going to be able to touch the animation by the nature of limitations.
I've been pushing that for months. Have you actually watched that?
I've seen most of it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. How have you not told me that?
Apologies.
Disagree.
Can you guys think of an existing? Can you guys think of an existing property now that would look similar to the aesthetic of Airbender in live action? Like I can't think of Dragon Ball movie sucked. Like I can't think of a good
you mean like
version of that.
Did well? Like
right.
That's the reason why I think it's what Callan was mentioning earlier. Is like it hasn't been done well.
Hard. It's gonna be a uphill battle.
I dare say Rurouni Kenshin, but that's really just for the sword fights.
Oh, that was actually pretty good, but there was no like magic in that or anything or elemental magic or anything like that. But yeah, the Kenshin was actually pretty good for the fight choreography.
Yeah, but
it's hard. It's gonna be hard.
It's not gonna be able to beat the animation. Like it's just
I know
by the nature of reality.
If they do succeed in that regard, then just like on a technical level and going forward for like just future series, that is a good thing. Like that's a good precedent or a good benchmark.
Oh yes, they absolutely have to make sure they get this perfectly done if they want to continue with it, because it's people are not going to swallow it if it's not
amazing in my head.
Well, I didn't even mean just future series of this world. I just mean like future series.
Oh, I see what you mean. Right? Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The adaptations in general. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's a good point actually. Because if anyone's going to get it right, it's these guys. I think, given their feelings towards the franchise. So.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, those are our thoughts.
Let us know what you guys think in the comments below.
Looking forward to hearing people's opinions on this one. I think they're probably going to be mostly the same as ours. Not particularly invested, but quietly hopeful. That's where I stand on it.
You guys suck. You're never happy about anything, and I'm looking forward to it. And I can't wait to see Azula. And just they're not going to be on the same page. They never are. When will you learn?
Fair enough. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on it, guys, and we shall see you next time. Apologies again for the hiatus. We'll be back as soon as possible. I am Reti 4, and I still don't have an outro.
Yeah, do we do that? Yeah, Greyjedi. Goodbye.
Who's next? I never know. This is Turk McGurk. Stay flaming.
Antoine Vandalay, peace, love, and remember, be water, my friends.
Goodbye.